So to start with, we've seen that there may be a skill gap to prepare the students. So starting with probably people who are working in the hospitality industry, Namit, what would you say what are your expectations from hotel management schools in terms of preparing students?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having us over here for this panel. This is the second panel which is happening for the second topic that we are picking up today. I think the question that you've put across, Fabienne, is absolutely correct and would be equal for all of us and would have thoughts to share on it. I would not really specifically pick the brand that I work with, but in general, I think if I have to answer this question, working in hospitality industry and specifically in HR, where recruitment is a big section of HR that you handle. Hotel schools is, of course, our first leg or first support that we go back to add a new, fresh talent into our system who would eventually become leaders of tomorrow. So it also means that they need to be ready to a certain level where they understand hospitality, they understand systems, processes, people, they understand the soft side and the hard part of the hospitality both together. Over a period of time, I think that has not been up to the mark as much as the hospitality industry in itself has grown with the number of new hotels that have come up, new brands that have come in and done well in India as a country. So the same amount of work which probably has happened on the real war front has not happened probably back in the barracks. So that's something which puts a lot of pressure onto the industry to make sure that they get these people on board, train them for a longer period of time, which earlier probably was a much shorter period. But that as we also speak about retention being a big problem, that means that the time that you're taking to train them and you are now looking at an ROI from somebody who's been trained and is ready to face a guest or a customer and deliver your brand experience to them, it's probably time for them to move on. So yes, I think it's a multifaceted challenge that we face on each day of our operations and handling affairs back in the hotels. But at the same time, I would not just talk about the negative side of it. I think the positive side of it also means that a lot of new players in education have come in, which has also added a lot of value given competition to some of the traditional orthodox education system that we had. So it has brought in some new, fresh thoughts, ideas, debates, which have opened up back in these colleges, how they can do better, how they can connect better to the industry, and how they can be delivering at a much faster pace as probably the industry requires today. So there are both sides of it. I think we need to look at the good side of it and also keep adding on as a partner to these educational institutions, industry, as a partner, and not just take them as a secondary partner whom we partner with them only once in a year when we go for a recruitment trip. So I think to begin with, that would be something that we face as a primary challenge with fresh talent coming in, that you need to spend more time to prepare them to be able to deliver what you want them to, which puts a lot of pressure on the hotels or the brands to deliver the experience as they would want to from day one.
Okay, excellent. Srinivasa, do you have anything else to add to that? What do you look into? What are your expectations from hospitality management institutions?
All right. First of all, let me thank all the hospitality institutions plus hotel management colleges who are really producing the brilliant talents to the industry. And definitely when I go to the campus, what I look at from the students' perspective is whether they're able to adapt with the new culture wherever they're going to work, and whether they have an interest to work with a passion to understand the industry, the requirement, whether they have a career adaptability as well as career growth planner, what exactly they want to do in the future, even that. And overall, what exactly I look at is most of the times seeing their skill set and the competencies, how best they are going to add value to the company, and how best as an employer or as a director of HR, how best I can give a career to them based on their competencies, skills, and knowledge. This is what normally we definitely look at in terms of from the hospitality sector. And I have to add one more point here. Even as an employer, we visit a lot of colleges to create awareness towards the branding, right? At the same time, even the students will come for the even 1 month internship, even 3 months or 4 months internship and all. And with due respect to all the faculties, with due respect to all the professors, how frequently they are visiting to the hotels to see what exactly they are teaching to the students and where we stand today, how the hospitality sector moving towards the trends. I'm talking about the new trends, exactly, and all to fill the gap. If I refer sometime back when I was working in Bangalore, Christ University, where entire faculties, they came to the Eka hotels where exactly they spent 2 days to understand the whole structure in terms of the trends, practices. That's the same to transform to the students. It's really the brilliant thought sometime back, which we are able to spend a lot of time with them in terms of to present, to understand them and all. So when I look at definitely in terms of the students' perspective, even though the faculties, even the professors, they're putting their efforts to teach the students, but from the student point of view, how best he is utilizing his 3 years time, as well as in the colleges, as well as in the industry. End of the day, definitely the students has to try 100% to secure himself and to showcase himself to succeed in the career.
You were just mentioning about internship. I don't know how most schools here in India, what's the duration of the internship, but you mentioned between 1 and 3 months. Do you believe that this type of internship is sufficient for students to be able to learn and to develop themselves? What would be the ideal length of, of an internship?
So we see most of the times is a 4 months internship. Even from Eka Hotel's point of view, we are also changing the trend completely from the student's perspective. When a student's coming to the hotels, definitely we are looking at how much they are learning from our hotels. What exactly they are away from our hotels. Are they working in terms of their work-life balance, in terms of their working hours, in terms of their learning curve, and meeting L&A manager frequently to them and to educating them towards the in terms of the work in the front office, maybe a check-in, check-out, even night outing process, maybe housekeeping process, maybe F&B process, and all. But when we look at 4 months, definitely it's not enough, but end of the day, that's what the curriculum designed by the institutes as well as the government, which we need to follow that one. But yes, some of the students learn brilliantly. They're able to make it. They're able to break it as well.
What about you, Vivek? I mean, you've been obviously working in many different parts of the world. You've been traveling the world, being an executive chef, and I think you had a very interesting experience all around the world. Have you seen some differences between the different countries where in terms of preparing future chef to work with you? Did you see any skill gap there, or what were the potential challenges that you've been facing in grooming and preparing and training these students?
Internationally, I think the focus on learning is not so much in an institute in a classroom, but on the job, really. I'll give an example. I had a long time ago a waiter in Spain, and today he's an executive of the same hotel. He switched sites, he did whatever studies he had to do, and his training was extensive but on the job. Now, unfortunately, from operations standpoint or from HR's perspective, our students today are grossly underprepared to really come and face the music in the industry. Now, I think we are partly culpable that we do not give them the transition phase wherein we break them in slowly, they understand what's happening, and by the time they're actually on the floor, they're able to take the pressure. That usually does not happen, or very rarely that happens. Now, why are they underprepared? Now, my question is, are the teachers who are teaching them, are they really in touch with the changes that have happened? Are they really abreast of everything that's happening technologically and otherwise, the advancement that have happened? Are they really up to date with all the education system, the changes that have happened? Now, that is a question that I ask. Second is the students, are they really there to be a career chef or a career director of food and beverage or a GM in future? So we lose them somewhere between they come to the college, they start learning, and by the time they actually come to train in the hotels, the amount of pressure that they face, they lose interest. I mean, attrition after people join is tremendous because they just can't. It is so unreal what they taught in college that by the time they actually come and see face it, they just don't want to be a part of it anymore. Now, hospitality industry today and tourism is developing, probably one of the fastest developing industries in India today, and we need all the talent that we can get. And it is not a bad place to work. It is an outstanding, very satisfying industry to work in. But are we really preparing them? And now the change, again, difference is, first of all, the leadership in colleges and the exposure. Now, 3 months, 6 months training does not tell them anything. Some colleges in India today do a year-long internship, which at least gives them a real-time image of what really happens in a college. And that perhaps would, make some difference.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and this is something that is very important to make sure that we can prepare the students to the maximum of their abilities. For example, here in Adler Roche, it's true that our students are lucky enough to be able to do 2 internships of 6 months over the 3.5-year period. So hopefully they do more an operational one to start with and then more manager administration type of internship, so that helps them to prepare. Now, going back to our beautiful institutions here, so how do you prepare students, and where do you think you make a difference between or amongst different other institutions? What are your USPs, or that you make something different and special that prepares the students better to face and to enter the industry? Who would like to start? Dula, yeah?
I represent International Institute of Hotel Management, and I think almost in all the colleges of the country there's some fabulous work happening as far as education is concerned. Now what has happened is in our college we've tried to make, not tried, but we've done about the entire curriculum that we do is about 65% of practicals that we focus on if I look at the general spread of academics. Now those practicals are not college-based practicals. Those are real-time practicals. Like for instance, we fly our students to Scotland to teach them about the distilling process. So they go there, they live there for about 10 days free of cost on the college, of course, and they see the distillation process. We fly them to the vineyards of Italy, France, and Spain, and they see how wines are made. Same way, if I talk about, we organize an event called the Young Chef Olympiad, which is the world's biggest culinary Olympiad, where 50 countries travel in every year to India for a culinary competition. So what happens is that the students get exposed to these events, to all such things, and they get a fair idea about what the industry is all about. The belief is that if you can inculcate dreams in the students, 50% of the job is done. And if they can identify at the college level what kind of department they love and like, and they get into it after looking and seeing for themselves, they will stick on to the industry for a longer time, they will fall in love with what they want to do, and that's where we're coming from. So it's not just one thing that we're doing, but what we're trying to do is like for instance, we focus a lot on the industry interface. A lot of GMs and people from the industry would like to invite and speak to them. Like for example, my sessions on RevPAR will be, I like a general manager to come and take that session, because students will not listen to me as much as they would listen to a general manager. It's like, so that's how it is, that's where we are. So a lot of focus is given on the practical aspects. A lot of things have been digitized, a lot of, ideas are floated, students are encouraged to do mistakes. And that's where we are, that's what we do.
You learn from your mistake. I used to have a boss who said, you can make as many mistakes as you want, because you will learn from it, as long as you only do it once. And I think this is very, very true.
Just to go back to hospitality education in India, yes, there is a skills gap, and it's important to understand that the hospitality sector, which of course is applicable everywhere else as well, but in India, what distinguishes the subsects, restaurants, for example, like we heard in the previous panel, to luxury hotels, there are a number of layers that exist. And the hospitality education currently in India is trying to cater to everyone, but I think it's a very big challenge, mainly to the luxury hotels. And where the luxury brands are concerned, getting a skill set, qualified individuals who can lead the brand value provide great customer service is something that is not happening at this point in time. The other challenge that hospitality education has is in terms of very generalized kind of teaching training that is happening. And probably I am also making a very generic statement at this time, but we deal very closely with a number of hotel colleges. Let me give an example. Most of the graduates from any hotel course opt for either a career in front office or these days kitchen is the next big fancy. There are very
Master
few
Chef and so on,
chefs.
right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and many other channels and TV shows. So it leaves very little scope for people, for companies to get good qualified people into departments like housekeeping and food and beverage. So in terms of when we talk about the skills gap, that is something that certainly needs to be addressed at this point in time. Creating that interest, that excitement, that there is a career, whether I'm in housekeeping or in food and beverage, is very important. You just can't keep working in front office or kitchens.
It's very interesting what you say, because food and beverage, it seems that it is sort of a trend. One time it's very popular with students. To be very honest with you, F&B is very popular with Indian students who are coming to Les Roches, because most of them, they want to be entrepreneur, they want to have their own restaurants. So it seems to be working pretty well in that aspect. However, very often before you start your own business, this is also important that you have an experience with a larger group, because they have like very specific standards, and it helps you to get work ethos that is important for them. In terms of housekeeping, that's true. That's I believe it is a job that is very hard, but that is not rewarded to its real value, because it's certainly not easy to run a housekeeping department. So probably there is some work as educators to do in that respect. Now, we've seen that the hospitality has been very much changing and evolving. But I believe we need also as educators to change. So have you taken into consideration on the way we are teaching things? Is there something different that we need to do or that we are doing? Mamta, maybe you want to, since you're about to start your new institutions in August, I'm sure you must be full of great resolutions and great projects, and how you see things evolving and developing here in India and in your institution.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. And I should tell everybody that I'm kind of shuddering in my shoes right now, because one of my teachers is sitting right to my right. Absolutely. We learnt from the best. And I think ma'am would also agree with me that there is, as you said, a big gap in the students that are coming out of a lot of institutions, because I think as educational institutes, we also need to understand the meaning of the word hospitality. So as Fabienne said, there are a lot of emerging thought processes on the meaning of this word. It now encompasses so many different sectors. And the youth of today, or the students of today, are interested in so many different genres. So I think what's also important in the course of our imparting that education is also to see or counsel or speak to them, understand what is it that they really want to do. So, for example, at even the Indian School of Hospitality, of which I am a proud part of, our endeavor is to understand that hospitality as a word is huge. It can cover so many different sectors. Moreover, once we understand what students really want to do, to tie up with organizations that, as Srinivas said, the culture, students find that there's a gap between how they've interned and where they actually join. So I think at that stage, when we determine what students are interested in, when we connect with institutions or organizations for their internship, it's very, very important to share with that organization a learning outcome that you want to achieve for that particular student. Because otherwise, that student is just going to be a pair of hands, whether it's retail, whether it is real estate, whether it's banking, whether it's hotels. So a lot of the times in most hotels, and I've been a part of wonderful chains like the Oberoi, which is my alma mater, the Institute of Hotel Management Aurangabad, Shangri-La, so many wonderful hotels. And when we do recruitment for hotels as well, we find that there's often a mismatch between what the student actually wants to do, or the graduate actually wants to do, and what people think he or she should be doing just by virtue of his or her having graduated from a hotel school. So I think that the need to understand the meaning of the word hospitality is important. The need to create internships once we've determined what the student wants when it comes to hospitality education is very, very important. So I think, and because of that, all of us as facilitators and educators need to have that bent of mind to understand that not everybody may be suitable for a particular role. So I think as facilitators, it's very important for all of us to understand what's out there. There are a myriad opportunities for graduates these days, and the important thing is to guide them through that and then build that connect. I think for that, all of us as educators really need to bring about that change. And let's face it, they're all young. It's the Gen Z or the millennials, as you spoke about. They're very headstrong. They know what they want. But sometimes we need to sort of extract it from them, help them to reach that stage, and then facilitate their internship and their training. And that's going to bridge that gap between, you know, their internship experience and their actual work experience. So I think that's really important.
Exactly, a good balance between the practical aspect and the theoretical aspect.